Matt, great to see you. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday, my
Yeah,
friend.
honor to be here, Chris. I appreciate all you're doing and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And so let's just have a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you ended up getting into chiropractic.
Yeah, well, I grew up in West Fargo. I was a Packer, so I'm still trying to get used to this whole Mustangs thing, but I'll give them grace. Um, when I graduated Cairo, I went to NDSU, graduated Cairo school, um, and my wife and I decided to move to Texas with nothing but 300 grand in debt and start a business. So, did well. I love Texas, good people. People love their faith, their freedom. Um, and we were very blessed, worked hard, started having kids, sold my practice, and it was time to come home. So been open here since 17, and yeah, we're doing well and very grateful.
Man, with your chops, you should have gotten a radio.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because down there, people would say, "You're not from around here, are you?" And I'd say, and then when I came back, people are like, "You're not from around here, are you?" So I always joke if you hear me say "oofta" and "y'all" in the same sentence.
You got the perfect
Yeah, I
mix
kind of got
then.
a couple things going on.
You got the perfect mix. One of the things that I appreciate is you've been very focused within your practice on serving the community and helping certain people overcome different health challenges. And that's, we'll kind of start there today and expand this wellness idea because I know you're passionate about it just like I am. But right now, what you've really honed in on is this thing called neuropathy, and I don't know that much about it. So if you want to educate us what that is and why you chose that path.
Yeah, you bet. So neuropathy is basically where the nerves in your feet, your hands, legs, arms start to basically break down. And it's a very progressive, it's a serious condition, very progressive, degenerative. Um, and neuropathy, I always tell patients, is like tying a rubber band around your finger. As your nerves break down and you stop getting proper blood flow, you get symptoms. So burning, tingling, numbness, pins and needles, weakness. You definitely know when it's bad because the last thing we see is people start having balance issues. Usually starts in the feet because by default it's the furthest from the heart. Eventually it makes its way up the legs and be in the hands. Just very debilitating. I do it, Chris, to answer your second question, because my uncle, Steve, I always joke he's the guy that taught me how to shoot a gun, drive a car fast and talk to a lady. He had it so darn bad. He basically laid in a bed last few years of life with half of each
Ah,
foot off, cut off. I mean, amputated. Just you don't get blood to an area, it isn't healthy.
so what are some early signs? Because I'm
Yeah.
presuming that the sooner someone notices what the signs are and they talk to you, the less they're going to have debilitation. So, am I looking for that tingling, or what could be some of the
Yeah,
signs?
yeah, and it's different for everyone because it's like a thumbprint. Everyone experiences differently, but nerves are capable of many different types of symptoms. Typically, it starts out with tingling. Then it can be burning. A lot of people's extremities stay cold. A
Hmm.
lot of times it's worse at night, just because when you're laying this way, laying on your bed, you're during the day, you're somewhat getting blood flow down there. But at night, when you're laying there, a lot of times you'll get restless legs. You'll start noticing your feet feel almost wet, burning. It's a odd feeling for
Wow.
most people. Um, and then as it progresses, they get worse. The pain gets worse. Then they get hypersensitive. Just stepping on a pebble or something can be like you got hit with a hammer. We call that hyperalgesia. It just means that nerve's being damaged. And the last thing is if it gets numb, complete numbness. I got a patient today north of Jamestown, can't even feel the gas pedal. Numbness is a very bad sign. That means your nerve's not even getting a signal anymore. And yeah, so it can be very debilitating. And yeah,
So, how is it like something that's genetic, or how do you get it?
yeah, it can. I mean, any disease, part of it's genetics, but there's over 100 known causes. The big one you always hear about is diabetes. The problem with high blood sugar, especially if it's over an A1C of 7, blood sugar is very acidic. So it's like taking a sandpaper to your nerve lining. Chemotherapy, a lot of people get chemo. It's actually called CIPN, chemo induced peripheral neuropathy. Chemo I mean, it kills the bad guys, the cancer cells, but I always tell patients like dropping a bomb on it kills the bad guys, but it kills the good guys. Alcohol induced neuropathy is very common. People who drink too much alcohol, people who smoke, that's a vasoconstrictor. People who have kidney disease, liver disease, and the latest I'm seeing is we've probably had about a dozen and a half patients who've either went through natural COVID infection and or the vaccine who are developing neuropathy.
If you're just joining us, Matt Christensen, he's the owner of Dakota Clinic of Chiropractic. The website, if you want to go, actually, I'm going to give you a phone number. If you want to call him and just get more information, it's 701 929 7505. 701 929 7505. I want to talk about the COVID piece in a minute, but let's back up to you mentioned the diabetic piece and the sugar and the blood and the sandpaper. I didn't follow all that. What is that, and how does that then impact my nerves?
Yeah, just high blood sugar is very acidic. So anything that's acidic in your body breaks down, so that's why a lot of diabetics develop neuropathy. A lot of them develop vision problems. The smallest blood vessels in your body are behind your eyes. So again, high blood sugar can do it. High blood sugar is very inflammatory. Any disease in this world, you're inflamed. Another one I didn't mention, Chris, is statins, cholesterol lowering drugs. So your nerves are coated in something called myelin. It's made up of B vitamins and cholesterol. So if you're on a statin long term, it may lower your cholesterol, but if you keep taking it, it's going to keep stripping it out of the body. So the next best place is your nerves, and your brain is fat. So a lot of people with long term, it was a Danish study. It's if you're on a statin, I think it was more than 2 years, your risk of nerve damage or neuropathy goes up 14-fold. So not to tell people to get off their statin, but I do know high cholesterol used to be 250. Then they decided 200 was now high. Now it's not even 200. It's if you have any risk factor. And the only one that benefits there is the people who make the drugs, but we don't need to go that way today.
We'll do that in a future Wellness Wednesday. How does that sound?
A little bit different.
So again, because if I notice this early and I come see you, I probably have a better chance of can I reverse it if I come see you, or what's the treatment?
Great question. So honestly, Chris, when people come to a chiropractor, I mean, I've had men, their wives are pulling them in, they're dragging their leg. I mean, it's, unless it's affecting their golf game or, hunting, they're not on board. But most people come to me have been through the typical medical approach. And with neuropathy, that approach is typically drugs called anticonvulsants, things like gabapentin, Lyrica, or also known as pregabalin, antidepressants, Cymbalta, amitriptyline, nortriptyline, and then finally opioids. The problem is neuropathy is like having a house fire. And the symptoms people feel, tingling, burning, numbness, pins and needles, are like your fire alarm going off. The problem with, this is our American healthcare system. We're more or less treating symptoms. So all those pills do is turn down the fire alarm. The problem with neuropathy, the number one cause, I didn't say this, the underlying cause of most of these is you're ischemic. It's a fancy word for you're not getting enough blood to your extremities. And that's why it starts in the feet. Again, think back to the Band-Aid or the rubber band around your finger. If you hold it, and we've all done it. I don't know why. We've all done it. We know what's going to happen, but your finger's turning colors. It's tingling. It's burning. It's cold. Eventually it's, you do that long enough, we all know what's going to happen, right? That's what neuropathy is. It's just a lot more drawn out chronic process. So
is it something like, let's say I initially feel this tingling, are you talking 12 months later is when I have possible amputation? Is that 3 years?
Yeah, and that's tough, Chris. A lot of that has to do with lifestyle. Like I get a lot of people that, unfortunately, that come in and they're deep in the bottle. I mean, I've had a few people who they're drinking a, liter of vodka a day. I mean, that's, a lot of it has to do with your lifestyle. I always say there's 5 things that will really slow down your healing or basically expedite the disease process. 1 is being overweight, obese. 2 is smoking. 3 is drinking, chronic, bad drinking, not 1 or 2 drinks a day, but 4 is chronic pill popper, if you're on more than probably 3 or 4 meds. And then the 5th one is being diabetic. Those are 5 things that will really catalyze the disease process.
And diabetes right now, I mean, is just such a pervasive issue within our societies. You talked about overeating. We're going to keep you for the next segment. We want to find out more about, hey, so if you're having any of these symptoms, how can you go see Dr. Matt and help him start to reverse what's happening with neuropathy? Again, if you want to give him a call, 701 929-7505, 701-929-7505. Today, join us in studio today. He's going to join us a couple times a month as well. Matt Christensen is the owner of Dakota Clinic of Chiropractic. We're talking about if you're someone, or maybe you know somebody who is dealing with neuropathy. I don't fully understand that, but you've done a great job today talking about, hey, these are some of the symptoms you want to be aware of. So I guess the big question is, you mentioned some things that people can do, but if someone were to come to your clinic and go, okay, look, I've got this challenge of neuropathy, how can you help them and get them back on their feet? So, I mean, can you completely reverse it?
Yeah, so reverse is a strong term, but our goals are twofold. A is to stop it, and B is to reverse it or improve someone's quality of life. Usually it's between 30 and 75%. Now, I've had a few who are above that, but most folks 30 to 75%. So there's really about 4 stages of it. Think of cancer. The bigger the number, the worse it is. So our tests determine kind of where you're at. And there is a point, though, Chris, where there's nothing we can do. And there's one specific test I do. If they can't feel it, I just unfortunately have to have what we call a come to Jesus and just tell them, hey, it's just too far advanced. And I'm very transparent. I'm a small business. If we live and die by results. So, I pride myself on serving people and delivering hope and healing. But again, if I can't help someone, it's in their best interest and mine, to be honest. So everything needs nerves, blood, and oxygen. Think of your crops, sunlight, soil, and water. Any disease in the body there's something wrong with all those. So we test all them. There's about 24 different tests we do: motor, so muscle, sensory, reflexes, and that helps us figure out where someone's at on the spectrum.
So if someone's dealing with neuropathy, they just call you up and then come and see you, or how does it work to start to do the diagnosis?
Yeah, well, you gotta first off, you gotta call. So you come in and we do a full comprehensive exam, test all your nerves, and then we also test the nerves that come out of your lower back. Your brain communicates with everything from your belly button down through 5 nerves. Okay, all strength, sensation, balance is controlled, and then autonomic nervous system. So that's a big fancy term. It means, just think of it like cruise control. So organs, so colon, bladder, other organs are all controlled through the same nerves. So, I mean, we test all that because a lot of people, put it this way: if the garden hose is pinched in their lower back, those nerves control blood flow. They tell every blood vessel to open or close. So if there's damage in the lower back, which I'd say 80-90% of people have, we have to address that. So that's what chiropractic does. The adjustment is designed to free up the nerves. That's why we help with pain. The problem is your nerves are only about 20% dedicated towards pain. Okay, our healthcare system's built on the 20%. The rest is function of muscles, sensation, organ function. That's why someone can, feel fine, go in and find out they have stage 4 cancer. Pain is a very, very poor yardstick to your health. Very poor yardstick.
But it's got to be incredible for people that come see you and like they having all this tingling. You mentioned the person that can't feel the gas pedal, and all of a sudden they see you, they're getting some sensitivity back, and life's got to get much more back to normal. Yes.
Yeah. Amen. It's, when I always tell patients, walking's easy till it's not. Breathing's easy till it's not. So when you start having trouble with things that should come subconsciously and with ease, you got a problem. And in this world, if you got a problem money can solve, you don't have a problem. But when you develop a problem that money can't fix, you got a real problem. So our goal is to figure out what's causing it. And every patient's a little bit different. The nice thing about our program is a lot of it's home driven. There's certain medical devices we use that create what's called vasodilation. Your nerves run on a frequency. Well, we use a neuroelectrical device that basically, when your nerves are damaged, Chris, it's like your radio's out of tune. So if someone right now is listening to AIM 1130, they're not getting a clear signal. Okay. Now in the body, that clear signal, that disrupted signal means pain, burning, tingling, numbness. So, and at a later date, I can share mine, but last fall I went through COVID, never vaxxed, and that's another story. But I went through COVID, got through it, not a problem. But within a month, I developed long COVID. And there's about 12 symptoms I developed, but one of which was neuropathy in my feet, which,
Wow.
I think the Lord teaches us lessons through problems, but, put myself through my own program, and thankfully I've come out. So,
Wow. So neuropathy from long COVID. I think that's an important thing to know. I'm going to give you the phone number if you want to reach out to Dr. Matt here. And if you know somebody or yourself dealing with neuropathy, obviously he can at least give you a diagnosis and see if he can help. The number to call 701 929 7505. Again, 701 929 7505. Give him a call today and set something up to go see Dr. Matt. Thanks for being here on a Wellness Wednesday, man. We'll see you.